What a difference a day makes. Man, this is sad. This is so sad right now. But I'm glad you're here. What I want to do is, Ernie asked me to do this. He said, Victor, I know you're going to be here for one day to do 1 hour. He said, would you mind staying an extra day and just kind of do a summary of everything? Can you put it all together, do a summary of what you learned, what you saw? And so what I want to do is give you my perspective on what I heard in the last couple of days here at Intel. So in other words, I think it's going to be a fresh perspective because I've talked to some of you about some of the things I thought were fascinating, and you guys looked at me like, we know that already, Victor. But again, from the outside looking in, a lot of this stuff was new. And because you've been around Intel for so long, many of you, for too many years, it becomes what? The norm, right? That was a joke. Don't delete that. All right, so here, I just want to review. These are my notes, okay? So I had a bunch of little papers. And by the way, the coolest comment, and I wrote it down, and I got to share this with you. By the way, this is the hotel bill. Not good. Hold on. I know I have it. Wait. I know I have it. My friend, is he here? I won't say his name because if he's not here, then he'll be in trouble. Wait up. Don't give up on me, folks. Don't give up. I wrote this down. I was talking to Jaime Segura. Okay. I was talking to Jaime Segura, and we were talking about working in corporate America, right? And sometimes, and we'll talk about a little bit about this later, you look at other things and you wonder, am I in the right place? And Jaime said something that I just had to run over to the table just to write it down. It's in Spanish. See if it impacts you. He said, no le pido a Dios que me dé, solo que me ponga donde hay. Isn't that powerful? In other words, I'm not asking God to give me, just to put me in a place where there's what? Opportunity. And do you think there's opportunities here at Intel? Absolutely. So here's what I saw. By the way, that's my favorite slide, and the lady to the left is my favorite speaker in the world. And we're happy because, Victor, what? I love you. By the way, you guys keep asking me if I still live in Chicago. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm in the South now. I spent the first 23 years in Chicago. Then we moved up to Minnesota. Told you that story. Then we actually went to live in Argentina for 1.5 years. You know what I mean there? And so then we went back to, by the way, anybody from Argentina? Out of curiosity. Ustedes son complicados. Real quick about Argentina. I think it is one of the most gorgeous countries in the world. I don't care what anybody says. And when I got there the first time in Argentina, if you drive by, you can tell the conversations that are going on because you see a lot of this. And I was like, wait. And when they get real mad, they get right there. And every time I went to see an Argentinian in this company, you guys are very hard. You guys are very hard. You know what I'm talking about. All right. Now, what I want to do is go through a couple of notes. Here's what I learned at Intel. Ready? You got a problem. It's called an addiction to data, okay? You need to go through the 12-step program to get off the data, right? You guys love data. I mean, I'm just sitting there watching massive amounts of data go by, and you guys are consuming it like ravioli. And if we don't have data up there, you guys are like, can't be real. Can't be real. What is it? There's a phrase you guys have. Something about the data. Come on. Speak with the facts. No, data. You're data-driven, right? Everything's with you is data. Data. I want to congratulate. By the way, let's give Ernie and his group a hand for this conference. Congratulations. By the way, I speak at a lot of different companies, and I've spoken to a lot of Hispanic groups. And for you guys to be this far ahead with this type of participation from your senior management level all the way down through in 18 months is incredible. That number actually surprised me. Remember this one? He talked about the attrition. As far as Hispanics, if I get it wrong, let me know, Ernie. Hispanics within Intel, back in 2006, 44% attrition, and then today, more or less 5%. Went forward, 5%. And I remember I was sitting in the back, and somebody said, how is that possible? And somebody actually asked the question, so you mean just by contacting them, you actually prevented that attrition? And a few years ago, maybe I wouldn't have bought into it, but I want to share a study with you that validates why contacting people, talking to people, actually works. In Chicago, where they have the best pizzas and hot dogs, where's my friend Donna? Thank you, Donna. That was for you. In Chicago, they did an interesting study. It was a study in a restaurant, and in this restaurant, they had problems. Their cancellation rate for reservations was at 30%. And so they wanted to know, how can we get that cancellation rate down from 30% to something that's much lower? And they figured out that by simply adding 2 words to a statement, they can drop the attrition rate. And they would ask people, if you make a reservation at a restaurant, they'll say something like, if you're going to cancel, please what? Call. But still, 30%. Then they added 2 words at the beginning of that whole statement. They added, will you call if you're going to cancel? And then they waited for an answer. Cancellation rates dropped from 30% to what? 10%. Why? Because when you ask somebody for a commitment, will you? People will what? Respond to that, because it's almost like, it's something in psychology, cognitive dissonance. When you say something, you have to what? Stick to it, right? Did you notice what Rick used? Rick used this statement. If you're thinking of quitting, what did he say? Come talk to me, right? And he said, will you come talk to me? And all of a sudden, he just put an anchor in your mind. And right now, if you ever have doubts about working for Intel, are you going to call Rick? Good. All right. 8 years of trying. Was that an interesting story he told? It was kind of a sad story, right? It was almost like a Greek tragedy. 8 years trying to get something done. And the fact that he told that story, again, it's unfortunate, but sometimes all we see is success. I have a lot of people come up to me and says, Victor, I look at you and I see success. What you don't see is the trail of failures that are left behind me. We do things don't go right. We talked about, remember this? What's this? The torpedo. You go after something. If it doesn't work, guess what? You adjust your path. So he did 8 years in that. And then he said something that was really interesting. He said he had to repurpose himself. How many people caught that when he said that? In other words, he had to find another reason why he wanted to what? Work at Intel. And I always tell this to people when I do seminars. I always remind people that if you're today doing something you don't like, you're wasting time. Let me ask you a question. I went to college and it took me 5 years to graduate. Listen carefully. I graduated with a 2.63 grade point average. Give it up. Okay, see? That's exactly what I wanted to see. Because let me tell you what just happened in this room. Because it's sad. Some of you clapped. Because you're like, man, he finished. All right. Some of you like, I ain't clapping for that. See? You know why you didn't clap? Because you're negative. See, you think a 2.63 is a C. It's a B minus. See the difference? Do you see the difference? There's a big difference, folks. It's how you look at things. When I graduated, I went into engineering for one reason, for the money. Within 3 years, I realized I didn't like engineering. I didn't like writing software. I didn't like testing hardware. Let me ask you a question. How much time did I lose? You guys having problems? 7? Leave the room. How much time did I lose? No. You guys are frustrating me. What's your name? Georgina, right? Georgina, come up here for a second. Because I'm just frustrated right now, Georgina. Come on up here. Apparently these guys can't count, especially Mr. 7. Georgina? All right. Now, I want you to see the visual, because you're not understanding what I'm trying to get across, so I need to really help you out here with the visual. Now, I went to college for how many years? Thank you. And after how many years did I decide I didn't want to do engineering? 3. So how much time did I lose? 7 leave. All right, now here's what's going to happen. I'm going to pretend that we're both starting our college careers. We're both starting our college careers. Now, I'm going to do something, an engineering degree, and I'm going to do it for the what? Money. Now, Georgina, what's your major? Pick anything.
Software engineering.
Software. You love software engineering?
I do.
Okay, I need you to be passionate about what you love. Do you love software? Say, I love it.
I love it.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. So now we're both going to start out our college education. Now what I'm going to do, Georgina, is I'm going to ask you to take a small step to your right when I tell you. Each step represents 1 year. Okay, so you only take it when I tell you, okay? All right, so here's what's going to happen. We're both starting our college career right now. Okay, take one small step. First year of college, second year of college, third year of college, fourth year of college, graduation. Psych, 5 years. One more. Okay, 5 years. I've now graduated. My first year in the business, my second year in the business, and my third year in the business. How much time did I lose? Thank you. There is something in business called, stay right there, Georgina, an opportunity cost. And an opportunity cost is the real amount of time you lose by not doing what you should have been doing. Stay right there because this is what happened. I wasted 8 years doing something I didn't like doing. But I also missed out on the opportunity to be what? 8 years ahead in my career doing what I should have been what? Doing in the first place. Okay? Give Georgina a hand. Thank you, sweetie.
Thank you.
Let me walk you down. Make sure you don't. Got it? Okay. All right. That's called an opportunity cost. In other words, you got to do your what? You got to do your what? Okay. Be passionate. Remember this? The statement, Rick made the statement. You got to be passionate, but not what? Emotional. And he said something that I resonated with because, like him, when I was in corporate America, I lost my cool one time. And he said something that I really felt. He says, it took me 2 years to regain what? The people's confidence and credibility that I could really control not only my temper, but be rational. And that is so true. Again, be passionate, just don't be emotional, okay? Because the grass is always greener, yes or no, on the outside. Somebody asked me, Victor, how did I get to where I'm at today? I'm going to give you what I shouldn't have done, because it's always good to talk about your successes, but let me tell you about some of the bumps and mistakes I've made. When I was vice president of sales and marketing for ADC Telecommunications, I worked for what I consider the greatest godfather in corporate America. This guy looked out for me. Our business grew. Not as big as your company, obviously. At that time, ADC was a $3 billion company. Latin America by itself was only $14 million in revenue. When I took it over, and this is in the book, we went from 14 to 98, and you saw that. We grew the business in 2.5 years. I think my head got big and I got cocky because I got a job offer to be president of sales and marketing of a $420 million company. And the amount of money they threw at me, the amount of stocks they threw at me were just incredible. Read the book, it's in there. One of the biggest regrets, because 6 months later I actually left that job. And I remember kicking myself in the backside saying, you know, I had it good. But we always think that the grass is what? Greener on the other side. I personally think you work for a great company. The energy in this room is incredible. What you people think about this company, how you're positioning it, it's incredible. And again, by the way, my favorite Intel phrase, and I said this to a couple of people yesterday, and again, you brushed it off like, yeah, we know that. But I didn't. Technology ecosystem. That is so cool. Don't you get the irony, the inorganic and the organic? Paul had some interesting statements. He was bullish on Latin America. Do you know how hard it is to get senior management to buy into an actual region and actually support it? But these numbers blew me away. Remember the billings? 50% of the billings are in the U.S. right now. In 2007, it's going to be, 1997 was 50%, 2007, 23%. In 2012, amazing. In other words, remember this statement? The emerging markets have emerged. What a paradigm shift, right? Because we're so isolated. Look, there's a study out there, depending on which one you believe, that says 10 to 15% of U.S. citizens have a passport. That essentially means 85% of the people in the United States will never see anything outside the United States. Isn't that a shame? Because until we get a more global perspective, we're not understanding. That number right there is significant because it tells us that we're no longer the what? The center of the universe. And if you saw that presentation that Sean did, which was incredible, I thought it was just an amazing presentation, you're starting to get the idea. The paradigm shift. Look at this. A recession is to your advantage. That's what they were saying. How often do you hear senior management saying, yeah, man, a recession's good? You're like, is this guy psycho? You know? Delete that. So, It's like I'm looking. But then, when you hear the rationale, we got cash in the bank, $18 billion, I believe, chump change for you guys. But you got money in the bank, and now you're looking for strategic partners, which makes sense. You don't have to build everything here. The not built here mentality is starting to what? Give way a little bit, and you're starting to look for strategic partnerships. I think that's fantastic. More risk taking. You remember that? Take more risk. The question was asked, how do you move up in corporate, in management? And they say, take more risk. Now, let me tell you what I think you're thinking. When senior management says, take more risk, you're like, yeah, right. I take more risk. There goes my head, right? But I'm telling you today, what people want, what senior management wants today from you is to be innovative, to come up with something different. Will it always work? Will it always go your way? Absolutely not. But you got to come up with new ways of doing things. So I want to do a BS exercise. Not that kind. All right, here's what I need you to do. Get out a piece of paper, break out a small piece of paper. Just tear out a small piece of paper, like this big, just a corner page. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a brainstorming exercise, okay? Small piece of paper. Now listen carefully to my instructions. I am going to give you a common household items. I am then going to ask you to come up with as many different ways that you can use this household item. Now, before you start writing, here's what I need you to keep in mind. I want good ideas, I want solid ideas, because I'm going to ask you to maybe defend your idea. So I'm going to give you the household item right now, and I'm going to give you 1 minute to write down good uses for this item. You guys ready? Give me a yes. Yes. All right, here it is. Write down as many uses, but again, good uses for a paper clip. Go ahead and start writing. Remember, I want good uses for a paper clip, because I might be coming around just to check out what you're writing and to make sure as I look over your shoulder. Now, man, I want some good, let me see, good stuff. Some good stuff. See what you guys got? All right. Some of you are faking like you're writing. Still suffering from the after effects of yesterday, apparently. Okay? All right. You got about 30 seconds. Remember, good ideas only, folks. Good ideas. Good ideas only. All right. Some of you look so intense. You got that Intel look. I think you should come up with the Intel look. We are intense. All right. You got about 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Pen down, pen down, pen down. No cheating. Now, how many people came up with at least one idea? Okay, for those of you who didn't raise your hand, here's an easy one. Whole paper. Okay, that was a gimme. That was a gimme. How many people had at least 3 ideas? Nice. 5 ideas. 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 ideas. A paperclip, and all you could come up with is 9 ideas. Record this. Sad. All right. Apparently something went wrong. So we're going to have to do this again, because I really need you to understand brainstorming. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to get in groups. If you already got a bunch of people at your table, you can stay there. But why don't you guys form a group here, and then why don't you join, Georgina, join that table right there. If you can join that table right there, join another table. We're going to do this all over again, because you guys are so disappointing right now that I have to fix you before I leave. Okay? Now, here's what we're going to do. This time, we're going to do it as a team. Everybody at the table is a team. 2-man, slide over here. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. I'm going to give you a different household items, but this time we're going to work as a what? Team. Now, here's what I want you to do. You have to appoint, only one person is going to be the scribe. Only one person is going to write notes. So here's what I need you to do. At your table, everybody raise your fingers up like this. At your table. At the count of 3, point to the scribe at your table. 1, 2, 3. All right, good enough. You now know who the scribe is. Whoever's got the most votes wins. All right, only one scribe. Now, listen carefully. All right, everybody's got their scribe. Now, only one scribe is writing. Nobody else can write. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down as many ideas as you can of the idea, of the tool I'm going to give you, the concept, Write down as many ideas, and here's what I want you to do. I don't want you to restrict your thinking. Anything goes. Okay, you just write. We're going for what? Quantity, not what? We're going for quantity here, and I want you to write down as many ideas as you can for this new item. Now, here's an incentive. Do you guys need an incentive? All right. If your table has the most ideas, I got a special gift for you. Okay? Maybe money, maybe more. I don't know. All right? So there's an incentive. All right? Now, at the count of 3, I'm going to give you the idea, and you write down as many uses for this common household item. You guys ready? Give me a yo. Yo. All right. To count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Write down as many uses for a paperclip again. Go. Right. You got 1 minute. Right. Anything goes. Just right. By the way, no committees. No forming committees here and discussing. Right. Come on. Right. No talking. Just right. That scribe should be moving that pen like a mad person. Right? 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 Let's see if Ernie's writing. All right, right? All right, 30 seconds, just right. By the way, no discussing, just right. 20 seconds, right. No discussions, just right. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pens down. That's it. Pens down. Got to put it down. Pens down. All right. Now, scribes, count how many. Write the number at the top. Write the number at the top and circle it. Now, has everybody done that? All right. How many people had at least 5 ideas? How many people had at least 10 ideas at their table? 15 ideas. 20 ideas. Can anybody, what's your number? 20? Can anybody beat 20? Give a hand to the winners at 20 now. Wait. Do you guys want to hear some of these? By the way, you guys are funny. Let me tell you why you're funny. Because as you're writing down, it's almost like this need to discuss and explain. Well, here's how it works. No, I just write down. You guys are like sitting there discussing. It's that intel thing. All right, you didn't have any data. That's scary. Next time I'll bring specs for a paperclip. All right, let me see him. What's the name? Read off some of these. Stand up and read off some of these. Earring.
Open doors.
Wait a minute. What's that? Pick your what? Pick your ear?
Pick for the...
Pick lock? Okay, yeah. I got you.
Open doors. Tool
Okay.
holder, etcher. Phone reset.
Okay.
Fixed chain.
Poke your ear.
Okay.
I'm not even
holder,
going.
scratch your back.
Wait a minute. I think you actually have 21. What's this one right here? Roach clip. By the way, now we know why your processors run so fast. Right. All right. By the way, I made that up. He didn't have that on this list, okay? And if you don't know what a roach clip is, neither do I. Now, let me ask you a question. What was the difference between the first time we did it and the second time we did it? Just raise your hand and give me something. That's right. You have more minds dealing in different ideas. Did you notice what I did to you on the first one? Here's what I did to you on the first one. I told you to cut off a small piece of paper. Did I just restrict your thinking? And then I kept saying, only what? Good idea. So now you're questioning everything you're writing down. And I think this is a great brainstorming exercise that you can take back to your company. You can sit in the room and say, okay, how can we improve customer service? Anything goes. Let's do this exercise. Take this exercise back to your corporation. Do the paperclip thing first so people get the idea of how it works, and then let them go at it. Was that good? Yes? All right, I like that. Thank you. That was good. You guys are funny, though. You got to see the thing like, It's just funny. All right. Something Sean said, on leadership. He said something, somebody over here asked him a question, and I thought, again, it was so powerful just the way he said it, because I've heard a lot of definitions of leadership, but this is one that I think I'll remember. He said, everybody wants to what? Contribute, right? It's your job as a leader to what? Put them in that position to what? To be a contributor. And I think there is the definition of leadership I really like. He also said, life's too short to do something you don't. Keep that in mind, okay? This was the coolest statement I heard. If you ask me what is the one statement I walk away with, and I said, man, that's a paradigm shift. I didn't know what the atom was. And then when he described it in his presentation, I started understanding. But remember that he set up his own question. He said, people were asking us, why would we build a chip that's cheaper, right, than what we're actually selling? And that's what he said. Invent your future before somebody else what? In other words, what he's trying to do is run ahead of his competition. And the way he actually segmented, the netbooks versus the what? The laptops is really clear. I've seen a lot of like marketing presentations, in the different companies I've worked with. That by far is, and I heard that isn't his best one, and that's scaring me already. But that's got to be the best presentation as far as clarifying the most complex issues in the most simplistic form. I think he did a great job, fantastic. He said he'd pay me $50 if I say that. And then he said this, I didn't understand why you guys were getting into Wi-Fi. I didn't get it. Okay, again, outside, coming in, I didn't understand it. I come from a telecom background, so I go, why would Intel want to do this? But then when he said, what? You don't buy computers to compute, but to what? Communicate. And then you understand the bottlenecks of what broadband is. And like I said, it's exciting what you guys are doing. My stock is suffering, but I'm just saying. You know how sometimes when you talk to people, it's like you can't break through? You ever get in a conversation with somebody, whether you're a salesman talking to a customer, whether you're a marketing person trying to sell somebody an idea, whether you're a programmer trying to say, hey, we need to flip it and do it this way. You ever notice that some people just refuse to shift their position? Would you like me to solve that problem for you right now? Would you like me to solve the problem or not? Thank you. All right, I'm going to show you something I call a transformation mechanism. I'm going to show you how this works, and this is powerful. If you're in sales, you might want to take note, because this always works. Now, when I was with a customer, and he couldn't shift, he couldn't see it from my point of view, and you ever been in a situation where people don't want you to do their job, or they don't want you to actually get into their business? Let me give you an example. I was working with a telecom company that says, we already buy all these products from this competitor of yours. For us to switch over would be too hard. I don't think you can do it. And no matter how much you say, we can do it, we'll take full responsibility, they still say what? No. And he's going to say, because Victor, it's impossible for you to do that. And every time I hear the word impossible, I'm like, yeah, he said impossible, because I wait for the word impossible. And so what I do is I get a card like this. I usually get a business card, but I got something bigger. And I said, let's say it's Bob. I said, Bob, I understand that you have doubts that we could pull this off. I said, here's my business card. I said, Bob, would you believe that I could put my hand through this business card without breaking the edges? Bob looks at me, I think it's possible. You can just squeeze your hands together and just kind of do it like that, right? I said, Bob, do you think it's possible for me to put my whole arm through this business card without breaking the edges? And he says, I don't think you can do it, Victor. I said, I understand, because a lot of people don't see that there's certain things you can do if you have the right strategy, the right plan, and the right tools. So I usually ask the maitre d' to give me a scissor. And this is what I do. I said, Bob, I understand you have doubts, but I'm going to show you, not only am I going to put my hand through this, I'm going to put my head through this business card without breaking the edges. Look at you. No, you can't. I understand, because I've been there. So as I'm talking to him, I said, it's really a matter of how you approach a problem. If you just look at the business card in one direction, I said, sometimes it's all about doubling up on your efforts, right? And so what I then do is say, Bob, if you have the right tools, like what we're selling you, all you have to do is really just know what you're doing. We've been in business for X years. How many years Intel been in business? That was a test. Good. You pass. And for 41 years, is it 40 or 41? 40. We've been doing these processing daily deals. Right? That's a technical term for you guys who don't understand that. And so what I then do is I continue to cut this card. Now, by the time I'm done cutting the card, it looks like that. And then in one final stroke, I said, Bob, it really is a matter of just strategy. I'm going to show you right now that I can actually put my head through this card. Damn. Damn, now I got to do it again. Do you guys believe me? I'll do it the long way. By the way, I got the sale, in case you're wondering. All right, here's what you're going to do. And I'm actually going to put this on my website so you guys can actually do it. It's actually a fantastic trick. Hold on a second. But like anything else in life, just when you plan it to work out, it doesn't what? Work out. But you guys still support me, right? Wow. A little while ago, you were like my friends. You loved me. I'll show you that later. I will show you that later. I'm sitting there going, where do I go with this? Now that I want to do it again, let me do it for you. Do you want to see it? Do you really want to see it? Yes. All right, I'll show it to you. Okay, so here's what you do. Because a lot of people don't think you can do this stuff. And again, as fate would have it, I cut it, I turn it around. All I did was turn it around, cut it like this, cut it like that. By the way, this is real pressure up here, folks. When you're sitting in front of Intel while they're filming you, trying to make something work that apparently didn't work the first time, is this pressure or not? But do you guys still love me? Thank you. Because I'm a challenge. Dang it, I can't get it going. Are you guys still with me? All right, while we're doing this, I live in Georgia. And in Georgia, we have something called the Waffle House. Has anybody been to the Waffle House? Thank you. Now, sometimes in corporate America, we're too sensitive to what people say. Have you been a victim of political correctness, yes or no? Absolutely. If you go to Georgia and you go to the Waffle House, I want you to go there when you're in Georgia, because there you will meet the most politically incorrect people you'll ever meet. In the Waffle House, when you walk in, this is how you will be greeted. You'll have these beautiful ladies who walk up to you and says, come on in, honey, sweetie pie, dear. Now, when somebody says that to me, do you think I get offended? No. In fact, I tell my wife, when I'm hungry and I need love, Waffle House. That's all I'm saying. Have you? That's so wrong. Delete that one too. All right, this is it, folks, the moment of truth. Please pray for me, because I'm needing it right now, because I'm running out of jokes for you guys up here. You know, Ernie, next time you ask me to do something for free, I'm going to say no. It's not that I don't like you, Ernie. It's just that it's too much pressure up here with these Intel folks. It's all data. By the way, how many folks still have an 8-track? An 8-track player. What's that? All right. Shall we do it one more time? Here it is. I feel this one. And if it doesn't, I'm just going to cry right now. I think I got it. Isn't that beautiful? Can you put your head through this? Absolutely. All right. Anyway, there you go. All right. By the way, sometimes opportunities are all around you. I can prove it to you, but sometimes you don't see it. How many times have you bought a new car, and after you buy that new car, what do you start noticing on the road? Everybody has that same car. Now, did those cars just magically appear? Yes or no? They were always there, but now your mind was what? Focused on them for the first time. Things change. One of the questions I often get is, Victor, how do you motivate people to do what you want them to do? Do you think that's a good thing to learn? Ernest Dichter, I don't know if you have ever heard of Ernest Dichter. He was an advertising executive. He said something very powerful. He said, in order to get people to buy, we must use the motivational techniques of motivational thinking to make people, listen to this, constructively discontent. Isn't that an interesting statement? We must make people constructively discontent. What he's saying is, when people have something, we have to make them unhappy with what they have, so they'll what? Either buy from us or change. And I'll give you a perfect example, which is why I asked you about the 8-track. Remember when the 8-track came out? For those of you who are over, I just heard about the 8-track. I don't know about it. Remember the 8-track came out. When the 8-track came out, we were all happy. We had to drive around the block just to listen to the same song, but you know what I mean? When the 8-track came out, we were happy. Then what came out after the 8-track? The cassette. The marketing people told us, look, you don't have to carry that big 8-track. You can now have the small what? Cassette, right? So they made us constructively discontent by saying, you don't have to carry something that big. So we were happy with the tape. And then, what comes next? The CD. But we didn't jump on the CD right away. And the marketing people went to work again. And this is what they did to you, and this is what they did to me. They said, CDs have better sound quality. We're like, then the marketing people said, no, let me explain it to you. Go home and listen to your tape again. And listen for that little what? Right. And all of a sudden, you never heard that hiss before. Right? But now you're listening to the what? And then you're like, I got what? I don't like the hiss. Now I want to go where? Buy a CD. The question you should ask yourself when you're motivating somebody, how can I make them constructively discontent for them to what? Do something. All right. By the way, final story, and I'm wrapping up for you guys. Will you meet a lot of negative people in your line of work? Are there a lot of pessimists out there? They're dream killers, they're naysayers, they're like saying, you know, you're not going to do it, it's not going to work, you get the idea. So I want to leave you with this story. I heard this story from Joel Osteen. How many folks know who Joel Osteen is? A preacher on TV. I love Joel Osteen. He's a personal friend of mine, not. And he told me this story, and I just want to share it with you. It's about pessimism versus optimism. And I want you to remember this story because I want you to take this one back. You guys ready? Thank you. 2 farmers, right? Optimistic farmer and a pessimistic farmer. One day the sun is shining, right? And the optimistic farmer is like, man, shine on down, let my crops grow. The pessimistic farmer is like, man, my crops are going to dry up. I'm going to go broke. Next day, it's raining. Optimistic farmer is like, man, rain on down, let my crops grow. The pessimistic farmer is like, man, erosion's going to kill my crops. I'm going to go what? Broke. No matter what happens, the guy's having a bad day. One day, the optimistic farmer gets himself a new hunting dog. He likes to go duck hunting on the lake. So he's going to take his dog out to go duck hunting on the lake. The last minute, he invites the pessimistic farmer to come along. He didn't want to come along, but he eventually does. So I want you to visualize this. The optimistic farmer, the pessimistic farmer, and the dog. The optimistic farmer has his rifle pointed up in the air because he's thinking, sooner or later, there's going to be a what? A duck, right? Pessimistic farmer has his rifle laid across his lap because, man, there ain't going to be no duck. Not today, right? Sure enough, quack, quack. Optimistic farmer, man, takes one shot, hits the duck. The duck comes crashing down about 20 feet from the boat. At that very moment, the optimistic farmer tells his new hunting dog, go get the duck. The dog leaps out of the boat, walks on top of the water, grabs the duck in his mouth, turns around, walks back on top of the water, jumps into the boat, and lays the duck at his master's feet. The optimistic farmer couldn't be happier or prouder. He looks over at the pessimistic farmer and says, man, what'd you think of that? Pessimistic farmer says, man, they stole your money. The damn dog can't swim. What's my point? Stay away from what? Negative people. Look, you guys have been great. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Ernie, it's all yours. Thank you guys. You guys have been great. Thank you.